The baby shower took a dark turn when his mother grabbed my hand and snapped, "That child will carry our name, not yours." My husband shrugged and said, "Mom's just old school." I took a deep breath and pulled out a letter. "Then she'll love what the judge decided." Her face went pale as she read the custody ruling. I never thought my own baby shower would become a battlefield. But there I was, in my living room, surrounded by friends and family, feeling more alone than ever. My name's Sarah. I've been married to David for 3 years. We live in a quiet suburb of Chicago. Our marriage had its ups and downs, but nothing prepared me for what happened that day. When I found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed. David and I had been trying for a while, and this baby felt like a blessing. We decided to host a baby shower at our home, inviting close friends and family to celebrate. The day started beautifully. The living room was decorated with pastel balloons and streamers. The scent of freshly baked cookies filled the air. Laughter and chatter echoed as guests mingled, sharing stories and well wishes. Then came the moment we announced the baby's name. David and I had chosen Liam, a name we both loved. As I stood in front of our loved ones, holding David's hand, I said, "We're thrilled to share that our baby boy will be named Liam." A brief silence was followed by applause and smiles, but not from everyone. David's mother, Margaret, stood up abruptly. The room's attention shifted to her as she walked towards me, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She took my hand firmly, her grip cold. With a piercing gaze, she declared, "That child will carry our family name, James, not yours." A hushed murmur spread among the guests. I felt my heart race, my cheeks flushing with a mix of embarrassment and anger. I glanced at David, hoping for support, but he merely shrugged and said, "Mom's just old school." Old school? Was that supposed to excuse her behavior? I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. I had anticipated some resistance from Margaret, given her traditionalist views, but not in such a public and confrontational manner. I reached into the side pocket of my dress and pulled out an envelope. The weight of its contents felt heavier than ever. Handing it to Margaret, I said, "Then you'll love what the judge decided." Her eyes narrowed as she took the envelope, her fingers trembling slightly. She opened it and began reading the document inside. As her eyes scanned the words, her face turned pale, the color draining as if she'd seen a ghost. The room was silent, all eyes on Margaret. She looked up at me, her voice quivering. "What is this?" "It's the custody ruling," I replied, my voice steady but firm. "David and I have full legal rights to make decisions for our child, including his name." Margaret's lips parted, but no words came out. She looked at David, then back at me, realization dawning upon her. The authority she believed she held had been dismantled in mere moments. David finally spoke, his tone conciliatory. "Mom, we understand your feelings, but this is our decision. We hope you can respect that." The tension in the room was palpable. Margaret's eyes welled up with tears, not of sadness, but of frustration. She turned on her heels and walked out of the house, leaving a trail of stunned silence behind her. The rest of the baby shower continued, but the atmosphere had undeniably shifted. Guests tried to lighten the mood, but an undercurrent of unease lingered. Later that evening, David and I sat together, reflecting on the day's events. I expressed my disappointment in his initial reaction. He apologized, admitting he was caught off guard and didn't know how to handle his mother's outburst. We knew that setting boundaries was essential, not just for us, but for our child's future. Family dynamics can be complex, but at the end of the day, our primary responsibility was to our son, Liam. As the days passed, Margaret reached out, expressing her regret for her behavior. It took time, but we managed to rebuild our relationship, with mutual respect and understanding at its core. This experience taught me the importance of standing firm in one's decisions, especially when it comes to family. Traditions have their place, but they should never overshadow the choices we make for our own happiness and well-being. In the end, Liam was born into a family that, despite its imperfections, was bound by love and the willingness to grow together. A week after the baby shower, things got quiet. Too quiet. Margaret didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't even comment on the baby bump picture David posted. Not even a like. At first, I thought maybe she was just embarrassed or needed time. Honestly, I didn't care. I had enough to deal with. Doctor's appointments, late-night kicks, the weird cravings. But David, he started getting weird. It started small. He got quieter. He didn't talk about the nursery anymore. He avoided conversations about baby names, the birth plan, or daycare. One night, I walked into the living room and saw him on the phone, whispering. I asked who it was. He said it was work stuff. But he looked pale. The next morning, I found his phone buzzing on the bathroom counter while he was in the shower. A message popped up. Let me handle it. She doesn't need to know yet. Margaret, my stomach dropped. I didn't snoop further. I didn't have to. I knew exactly what this was about. I waited till dinner. He was chewing, half watching some reality show, when I asked, "What's your mom handling that I don't need to know about?" He froze. He tried to act confused. Blinked. Said, "What are you talking about?" I repeated the exact words from the text. His face went pale, like ghost pale. She's just upset, he finally said. She wants to talk to a lawyer about the name. About custody. About stuff. Stuff? I nearly dropped my fork. She's trying to go behind my back to fight us on the baby's name? He didn't deny it. She thinks, maybe if the baby has her last name, there's a better inheritance path. Like, it honors her father or something. I didn't agree to anything. I just said I'd listen. I got up from the table and walked straight to the bedroom. Locked the door. Sat on the edge of the bed with my hand on my stomach. So that was it. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking, if Margaret was willing to go this far already, what would she do when the baby was born? What was David not telling me? The next day, I made a call. Not to my mom. Not to my sister. I called my lawyer. Yeah, I had one. From back when David and I had a rocky patch before we got pregnant. I kept the number, just in case. We met the following week at a cafe near Wicker Park. I told her everything, what Margaret said, the letter, the phone message. She raised her eyebrows. Do you think your husband would side with her if it came to court? I didn't answer right away. That silence said it all. Okay, she said. Let's prepare. In the weeks that followed, I started documenting everything. Every odd thing David said. Every call he took outside. Every time Margaret dropped by uninvited. Yes, she started doing that again, with this fake sweet smile and casseroles we never asked for. Then came the baby registry incident. Someone hacked it. Changed the last name of the baby to James. Reordered monogram towels and onesies. All return addresses went to Margaret's house. I lost it. I confronted David. He swore he had nothing to do with it. She's lost it, he said. I'll talk to her. No, you'll listen to me for once. I gave him a choice. Back me up now, or I will go to court. I have everything documented. And the judge already ruled in my favor once. He looked torn. He really did. But then he said something I didn't expect. Maybe you're the one taking it too far. That was it. I moved into my sister's guest room that night. She lived out in Naperville with her husband and 3 kids. It was tight, but it felt safe. David didn't call for 3 days. On the 4th day, I got served papers. Emergency petition for joint custody. Filed by David James and Margaret James. She was listed as interested party with established caregiving role. She was claiming she had partial rights to our unborn child. And somehow, David had signed off. I stared at the envelope. This wasn't just a name fight anymore. This was war. I wish I could say I was shocked. But by the time I held that thick envelope in my hands, I wasn't surprised, just numb. Still, seeing my husband's signature on those court papers, it felt like a knife. Filed by David and Margaret. Like I wasn't even in the picture. Like I was just some side character in my own life. I sat on my sister's back porch for an hour that night, just staring into the dark. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept repeating to myself, he really did it. The next morning, my lawyer was on it. She filed an immediate response and got me an emergency court date. Meanwhile, I tried to keep calm. Baby Liam was still growing inside me, kicking like he knew the world outside was already chaotic. Then, plot twist number 2. A friend from David's work messaged me out of nowhere. "Hey, I didn't want to get involved, but just saw something you should know about." Attached was a photo. It was Margaret, at a downtown law firm, standing in the lobby with a man who wasn't David. It was my ex, Mark, the guy I dated before David. The guy I had broken up with because he couldn't handle the idea of having a family. What the hell was he doing with Margaret? I called the law firm, asked if he worked there. He did. Associate partner, family law. Apparently, Margaret had hired him as her personal attorney. I was floored. She didn't just want custody or the name, she wanted control, and she was digging into my past to do it. The worst part? Mark knew things. About me. Stuff I had shared back when we were together. Personal stuff. Dumb mistakes I made in college, family history, my anxiety issues. Things you only tell someone when you're young and naive. And now he was sitting across from Margaret James at a fancy downtown firm, probably drinking her homemade tea and plotting how to make me look like an unstable mess. I called David. Straight up called. "You're working with Mark now?" He hesitated. I didn't know she hired him. I swear. I hung up. That night, I got another surprise, this time, at my sister's door. A letter. No name on the front. Just tucked under the doormat. Inside? Photos. Of me. From weeks ago. Taken from across the street. At Target. In the parking lot of the OB-GYN clinic. Getting lunch near the park. Me, with my round belly, just living. I dropped the letter. My sister came running when she saw my face. "Who sent this?" she asked. I didn't know. There was no note. Just the photos and that sick, crawling feeling in my gut that someone had been watching me. My lawyer filed for a protective order the next day. And I filed for temporary sole custody again. This time, with all the new information. Surveillance. Harassment. Conflict of interest between Margaret and my ex. The works. Court date was set. 3 weeks away. And guess who showed up to court with David? Margaret. And Mark. And, twist number 3, a woman I didn't recognize. A woman holding a newborn. She didn't sit with the others. Just stood in the back. But something about her felt off. My lawyer leaned over during the break and whispered, "Do you know that woman?" I said no, because they listed her on their witness list. Last minute ad. Her name is Alicia Grant. Alicia. The name meant nothing, until she stood up and testified. She said she had been seeing David for nearly a year. Said he promised her he was leaving me. Said they had a brief breakup but reconnected after I got pregnant. Said that baby she was holding could be his. My whole world tilted. He sat there. Said nothing. Didn't deny it. Didn't even look at me. He knew. And now I understood the silence, the phone calls, the weird behavior. This wasn't about the baby's name. This was about replacing me. Margaret didn't want my baby to carry their name. She wanted her real grandson, the one Alicia held, to carry the name. And now they were trying to make sure my son didn't confuse the legacy. The judge didn't decide anything that day. But I knew what I had to do next. This wasn't about tradition or family anymore. This was about survival. And I wasn't about to let them rewrite my son's future. Not without a fight. I left that courtroom shaking. Not from fear, but from rage. They all sat there like it was normal. Like it was fine to humiliate me. To pull a stranger out of nowhere, drop a maybe baby in the middle of a custody hearing, and act like I was the one ruining everything. I didn't speak to David. Didn't yell. Didn't cry. I went home, to my sister's house and made a list. It had one title, Everything They Don't Want the Court to See. For the next 2 weeks, I worked like hell. I barely slept. My lawyer was in constant contact. I hired a private investigator. He was expensive, but I didn't care. He found everything. Turns out Margaret had a long history of manipulating things. Old nursing home records showed she once forged her own mother's signature on a financial form. An ex-friend gave us an email chain where Margaret bragged about cleaning up her son's messes. And David? He wasn't just cheating. He had drained part of our joint savings months before and funneled it into a business fund for Alicia, a boutique she wanted to open. In my name. Yep, he used my credit. But here's where it turned. The PI found that Alicia had a record. 3 states. Identity theft. Forgery. Even baby daddy fraud. That infant she brought to court? Not even hers. She borrowed the baby from a cousin. And the DNA test she offered for David? Fake. I confronted David with the documents before our next court date. His face went pale again, paler than the day at the baby shower. I said, "One last chance. Withdraw everything, or I destroy you all." In court. In front of the press. In front of your job. He refused. So I followed through. Court, round 2. I showed everything. Every transfer from our bank accounts. Every photo of Margaret snooping around my doctor's office. The video of Alicia getting into a rental car registered under another name and returning a baby carrier to Target. The judge didn't say a word for a full 2 minutes. Just flipped through page after page of documents. Then she looked up. Her voice was ice. Not only is this one of the most disturbing custody battles I've ever seen, but I am shocked at the lengths this family went to undermine a mother's legal rights. I am granting full sole custody to the petitioner, Sarah. All visitation by the father is suspended pending psychological evaluation and financial restitution. Margaret stood up and screamed. Called me a liar. Called the judge biased. The bailiff had to escort her out. David sat there, slumped. His mouth open, no words coming out. Alicia never even showed up. Later that day, my lawyer handed me a plain white envelope. Inside? A check. $24,000. The court ordered David to pay back everything he stole, and then some. Weeks passed. The silence was beautiful. Liam was born on a rainy Tuesday in July. 7 pounds, perfect, calm. I held him in my arms, and for the first time in months, I felt peace. I named him Liam Walker. Walker, my father's last name. The name of a man who actually protected his family. Not James. Never James. I don't regret fighting back. I regret being blind for so long. I regret trying to please people who only saw me as a problem to fix. But mostly, I regret thinking love could fix people like that. I haven't heard from David since. Margaret tried once to send a gift with a card that said, "For my only grandson." I sent it back. Unopened. Liam's name is his. His future is clean. And I sleep just fine.